on guys, the Comics Kid 2099 here to talk to you about a Star Wars comic book, Star Wars Vader Down. This is a crossover between the Darth Vader series that was being written by Kieran Gillen and the Star Wars series that was being written by Jason Aaron several years ago. These comics were set in between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, and this is a 5-issue crossover between those two series. This is written by Kieran Gillen and Jason Aaron and illustrated by Mike Deodato and Salvador LaRocca. This is Star Wars issue 13 and 14 and Darth Vader issue 13, 14, and 15. And I like this story quite a bit. This is interesting because in the Darth Vader half of this book, Darth Vader is the protagonist of the book, but he's also a bad guy. And in the Star Wars half, he is the antagonist. And this book does a pretty good job of balancing Darth Vader as the protagonist, and you really want to see him succeed, especially in the last half when an enemy of his shows up. Spoilers, I guess. And then also, you want to see the rebellion succeed, because this is a guy who has killed like a third of the rebellion in this book. It's crazy how many people Darth Vader just mows through in this book. And it does a really good job of making Darth Vader kind of the underdog, but not taking away any of his menace that he has. There's one part where there are 3 squadrons of ships against him, and he's able to go through them, but then he still gets taken out at one point, and it does a really good job. It walks that fine line of making Darth Vader scary, but also showing that his back is against the wall. And he certainly is going to make it out of this alive, because we see him in Empire Strikes Back, but he might get hurt a little bit along the way. And so this does a really good job of walking that fine line, I think. One thing I was a little disappointed with, but then I reminded myself that I shouldn't have been disappointed. I was really hoping we were going to get another Luke Vader encounter here. We had one encounter between the two in the Jason Aaron Star Wars series, close to the beginning of that series. And of course, if you watch the original trilogy, you watch A New Hope, and then you watch Empire, you could think that whenever Luke fights Vader at Cloud City, that this is the first time that they have actually met each other. You don't get any indication that these two met in between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. And I will say those comics do a pretty good job of fitting in between those movies. It's not like you read the Jason Aaron comics and you say, well, Empire clearly contradicts this doesn't work as an in-between quote. I think they do work pretty well. I was kind of hoping we were going to get another encounter. And some people might say, if you have too many encounters between Luke and Vader in between A New Hope and Empire, then their encounter in Empire is going to lose its touch a little bit. Eventually, Vader would have cause to say, by the way, I'm your dad, which he doesn't say until Empire. So you want to minimize the encounters between Darth Vader and Luke, but that's still what I was hoping to see here, and we don't see that. In fact, we don't see a whole lot of Luke at all, which is fine, because Luke is the main character of the movies. So when you have stories set in between the movies, it's okay to have Princess Leia and Han Solo be more relevant and more prevalent in these stories. Han and Leia both get more to do in this story than Luke does, and that's fine. I was wanting more of Luke because Luke is my favorite character from the original trilogy, or at least favorite main character. Obi-Wan is my favorite character overall, but I hesitate to call him a main character since he's not in a whole lot of the original trilogy. But Luke doesn't get as much to do here. He does get a couple of really cool moments to shine, but he's kind of put in the background as we get to see Leia and Han do a little bit more. And that's fine. I'm okay with that after thinking about it a little bit. The artwork, I like Mike Deodato's artwork. I think he does a really good job, for the most part, of capturing the likeness of these actors while not making it look too stiff. It's really difficult doing art for a licensed comic where you have to make the characters look like the actors, but also not make it look like you're looking for screenshots and then just identically drawing that screenshot from the movie. There's one part here where Luke is screaming because someone hits him in the back of the head, and it looks like, and I think that might have been a Salvador LaRocca issue. I'm not sure. It might have been a Deodato issue. I don't know. But whoever it was, it looks like they paused when Luke is screaming in Empire Strikes Back when Vader says, "I am your father," and he screams and kind of closes his eyes. It looks like they are tracing that facial expression that Luke made there for him getting hit in the back of the head with a rifle. And I wish that both of these artists would try a little bit better to make these characters feel like their own, and not like, okay, I have to draw this to look exactly like Harrison Ford and exactly like Mark Hamill. Yes, you do want it to be recognizable that these are those characters portrayed by those actors, but you also want these characters feel alive on the page. And when you're trying to draw it to look exactly like Carrie Fisher or Mark Hamill, etc., you're going to lose some of that life that is in the picture. It's hard to explain that. You have someone drawing a picture of Cyclops, and they're not having to worry about making that character look like a human being that exists in the real world. They can take liberties, and they can kind of make the character feel alive on the page. But if you are trying to make the character look like someone who does exist in real life, I think that is like handcuffing yourself and then trying to swim or something like that. It just adds a little bit of stress to the art that I don't think needs to be there. But overall, I like the Deodato stuff a little better than the Salvador Larroca stuff. I used to really love Salvador Larroca's art in the 90s. I thought he did some really amazing art. At some point in the 21st century, I stopped liking his art. I don't think his art is very good. It kind of has that problem of it feels too stiff, like what I was talking about. The Deodato stuff, it all feels very consistent, I will say that. And Deodato on his own, I really like his work. It's very detailed, but it doesn't feel stiff like Salvador Larroca's work. And it's hard to really explain what I mean by that. But overall, I like this book. It's able to make me care about Darth Vader and his plight, but it's also able to make me say, hey, I hope the Rebels can get that guy, even though I know that they're not going to. So I really liked Vader Down. This was a story that I skipped years ago when I was reading the Kieran Gillen, Salvador Larroca Darth Vader series. I didn't have access to Vader Down. I only had access to the main Darth Vader stuff. And so I had skipped this one years ago, and then I found it a little while later, and I'm glad that I read this one. I like this quite a bit. So those are my thoughts on Vader Down. I hope you guys like this review, and I will see you guys in the future with more videos. In the meantime, have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.